Listen closely, for what I am about to tell you may just be the most important truth you'll hear today. Not every smiling face is a kind heart. Not every handshake is offered in peace. And not every voice that speaks softly carries the Spirit of God within it. There is a war raging in the unseen, and while many people walk through life with blind eyes and deaf ears, the signs of evil are plain for those whose hearts are aligned with God. Evil does not always come dressed in red with horns and fire. It often comes disguised in charm, cloaked in manipulation, and coated in lies. But God, in His infinite wisdom, has not left you without discernment. He reveals signs. He places warnings. He whispers into the spirit of those who are walking in His light. God is not the author of confusion, and where evil dwells, confusion reigns. There are those who pretend to walk in the light, but their footsteps betray them. Their fruits are rotten, though they paint the tree in gold. And I declare to you today, if you are walking with God, He will not allow you to be deceived. But you must open your eyes and see. You must open your ears and listen, because the evil in this world hides behind polished faces and honeyed tongues. The first sign of evil is the absence of repentance. Listen to me now. Evil never says, "I was wrong." Evil never bows in humility before God. Instead, evil justifies itself. It twists the truth until wrong becomes right in its own eyes. These people will lie to cover their sin, but worse, they will lie to themselves. A person who cannot admit their wrongdoing is a person who has removed God from the throne of their conscience. They place their ego above truth. And when a man or woman does that, the spirit of darkness finds a home. If you see someone who always blames others, who never bends the knee to correction, know this: they are not walking with God, no matter how loudly they speak of Him. The second sign is manipulation. Evil loves to control without force. Evil wraps itself in sweet words and false promises. It lures, it charms, it flatters. It does not take the sword to your throat. It seduces your mind. Evil people are often the most persuasive, the most convincing. They know how to make you doubt yourself and trust them. But God has given you a spirit of truth. He has given you the ability to sense when something is off. Don't ignore the feeling in your spirit when someone says all the right words, but their presence feels wrong. Evil people operate through manipulation, not honesty. Through pressure, not peace. When someone constantly seeks to bend your will for their benefit, watch closely, for evil is near. The third sign is a delight in the downfall of others. Evil people rejoice when others fall. They gossip with pleasure. They spread rumors with a smile. They secretly clap when someone loses their job, their peace, their family, because it makes them feel superior. My brothers and sisters, God is not in that spirit. God uplifts. God mourns with the broken. God restores. But evil feeds off destruction. If someone celebrates your pain, if someone tries to crush you when you're already low, that is not a person of God. That is a vessel being used by something far darker. And no matter how well they mask it with kind gestures or spiritual words, if they laugh at another's tragedy, their heart has turned cold to God. The fourth sign is deceit. A liar walks hand in hand with the forces of evil. Lies are the language of darkness. And the one who lies casually, the one who lies to get ahead, the one who lies to tear another down, they are not just harming others, they are aligning themselves with wickedness. God is a God of truth. His presence cannot dwell in a deceitful heart. Evil people will look you in the eye and lie without flinching. They will twist facts, rewrite events, and invent stories because the truth is too inconvenient for them. But remember, truth stands the test of time. Truth will expose the liar. If someone constantly lies and excuses it with smooth words, walk away. Their tongue is a flame that sets fire to everything holy. The fifth sign is arrogance. Oh, how evil feeds on pride. The spirit that says, I am better. The attitude that says, I deserve more. The mindset that refuses to serve but demands to rule. That spirit has no fellowship with God. Arrogance is the beginning of rebellion. It is the seed of every fall. It was pride that turned once glorious beings into enemies of God. It is pride that separates the soul from submission. When a person walks with arrogance, they believe they are above rebuke. They believe they are the judge, not the judged. But those who truly walk with God walk with humility. If you meet someone who boasts endlessly, who cannot be corrected, who looks down on others as though they were gods among men, know that evil has crept into their spirit. And the longer they feed that pride, the further they fall from the light. The sixth sign is a pattern of destruction. Wherever they go, evil people leave brokenness behind. Broken relationships, broken trust, broken peace. If you trace their steps, you will find people who are used, people who are discarded, people who are wounded and never healed. Evil builds nothing, it only tears down. And those who are being used by evil cannot create harmony because their soul thrives on chaos. God is a builder. He is a restorer. He repairs what is shattered. But evil rejoices in demolition if someone's presence consistently brings tension, pain, or division. Don't ignore that sign. God does not author such confusion. Step back and seek His clarity. The devil sows discord, but God brings peace. And peace is a compass. When it's gone, look around you. Something dark may have entered. The seventh and final sign is a hatred for the truth. Evil people do not just dislike the truth, they hate it. The truth convicts them. The truth exposes them. And so they fight against it, they avoid it, they mock it. And when someone speaks truth to them, they lash out, not because you are wrong, but because they are trapped in their own deception. A heart that loves God rejoices in truth, even when it stings. A heart that belongs to darkness runs from it. If someone becomes hostile when you speak what is right, if they silence you when you speak what is good, then you are dealing with someone who has rejected the truth of God. And where there is no truth, there can be no righteousness. Now hear me, and hear me well. These signs are not given so you may judge others with a hard heart. No, these signs are given so you may guard your spirit, protect your peace, and remain in the presence of God. There is a reason why God told you to be watchful. Evil does not knock on the door shouting its name. It whispers, it sneaks, it smiles, it pretends. But God reveals, God warns, God convicts, and He is speaking to you now through this very word. You have seen these signs before, perhaps in a coworker, perhaps in a friend, perhaps in someone close to your soul. Do not ignore what God is trying to show you. Your safety, your spiritual purity, and your peace may depend on your ability to walk away. And if, as you listen, you begin to see some of these signs in your own actions, let that not be a reason for shame, but a moment for awakening. God does not condemn those who turn, He delivers, He forgives. But you must recognize the signs in yourself too. For it is easy to point the finger outward, but wisdom looks inward. And the one who walks in truth must be willing to confront their own darkness. Pride must fall. Lies must die, manipulation must end. For only then can you walk fully in the light of God. Evil thrives in darkness, it breeds in silence, it grows in spiritual ignorance. But God has sent you this message as a lamp unto your feet. You were not called to be blind. You were not created to be fooled. You were not chosen to be used by the enemy. You are a vessel for the light. And the closer you walk with God, the clearer you will see. Don't be deceived by charm. Don't be fooled by titles. Don't be silenced by pressure. Evil can wear any face, but it cannot imitate the Spirit of God. And when God is truly present, there will be peace There will be humility. There will be truth. There will be purity. Then I tell you now, the time for silence is over. God is calling His people to a higher discernment. Not a discernment rooted in suspicion or paranoia, but one rooted in divine awareness. A holy sensitivity to what is of God and what is not. Too long have many tolerated darkness in their lives, not because they were weak, but because they were unwilling to see the signs. Evil does not always come to destroy you with force. It often comes to distract you, to delay you, to drain you. And before it destroys your house, it first desires to enter your mind. It wants to make you question what you know is right. It wants to blur the lines. But when your spirit is anchored in the presence of God, you will see things clearly, and no manipulation can blind you. God gives clarity where evil gives confusion. That is one of the purest signs. In the presence of God, there is peace, even in the storm. But when evil is present, there is restlessness, even in calm. You could be surrounded by material comfort, but your soul will feel agitated. You could be smiling on the outside, but inside your spirit feels choked. This is not just stress. This is a spiritual warning from God. When you are walking with someone whose presence disturbs your spirit, do not ignore it. That is not your imagination. That is not paranoia. That is God telling you something here is not from me. You do not have to know all the details. You just have to be obedient enough to walk away when He tells you. Some evil people will never reveal their true nature with words, but their actions speak loud enough. Watch how they treat the weak. Watch how they speak about those who can do nothing for them. Watch how they act when no one is watching. God sees what men try to hide, and He gives you glimpses, not to make you bitter, but to make you wiser. Do not be the one who keeps giving chance after chance to someone who God has already exposed. If God shows you someone's true character, that is not cruelty, it is mercy. He is protecting you from what you cannot yet see. He is preserving your purpose from contamination. Don't allow pity to override divine wisdom. It is not unkind to walk away from someone who is destroying your peace. It is obedience. And let me speak to your heart now, because someone listening has been spiritually tied to the wrong people for far too long. You thought you were being loyal. You thought you were being loving. But in the name of love, you tolerated poison. In the name of faithfulness, you allowed evil to make a nest in your life. You've been drained, discouraged, and confused. But God is shaking your soul today. He is saying, come out from among them. He is saying, clean your circle. Because evil does not always need to possess you. It just needs to be near you to slow you down. It doesn't need to destroy you directly. It just needs to distract you long enough that you miss your divine timing. God did not create you to survive. He created you to thrive. But you cannot thrive while you are entangled with those who serve darkness, whether knowingly or unknowingly. And let's be clear, not everyone who carries evil is aware of it. Some people are being used by spirits they do not understand. They operate under jealousy, under rage, under pride, and they don't even know it. But that's why God calls you to walk in wisdom. Your responsibility is not to fix them. It's to recognize them and act accordingly. You are not their savior. You are a servant of God, and your duty is to protect what God has planted in your soul. There comes a moment in every person's life when God begins to separate. He begins to divide what is holy from what is harmful, what is pure from what is poisonous. And if you are in that moment, do not resist it. God removes not to punish, but to preserve. He takes away to protect. He exposes not to shame, but to sharpen. And you must be willing to accept what God shows you, even if it hurts. Because some of the greatest delays in your life have not come from external attacks, they've come from internal connections. People you kept too close. voices you gave too much access to, relationships you refused to release. But now's the time to obey. God has a calling over your life. He has appointed you for impact. But you cannot carry out that calling while you're yoked to people carrying spirits of deception. And let me tell you something. The enemy is strategic. If he cannot destroy you, he will distract you with friendships that feel good but are spiritually toxic. He will connect you with people who applaud your talents but drain your anointing. He will place people in your life who feed your ego but starve your soul. But if you stay close to God, you will begin to feel when something is off. He will cause your spirit to become restless around certain people, not out of hatred, but out of spiritual warning. That uneasiness is not rudeness, it's revelation. And let me speak boldly. Stop ignoring red flags just because you're afraid to be alone. God never called you to cling to evil for comfort. You were not made to blend in with darkness for the sake of companionship. When God sets you apart, He also requires you to walk alone at times, but it's better to walk alone with God than to walk with evil and lose your soul's clarity. Evil people will use your kindness against you. They will guilt you into staying, manipulate you into silence, and twist your loyalty until you can't even recognize yourself. But God is your defender, God is your clarity, and if He has called you out, don't look back. Some of you have been questioning your instincts. You've been asking, why does my heart feel heavy around this person? Why do I always feel drained after talking to them? Why do I lose my peace when I'm near them? And God is answering you right now. Because I never placed them in your life. I never assigned them to your spirit. They are a distraction, not a destiny. God is not the author of anxiety. He is the giver of peace. And where there is no peace, you must pause. Where there is spiritual weight, you must pray. Where there is confusion, you must separate until God speaks. And hear this now, evil may be subtle, but it is not stronger than the Spirit of God within you. When you walk with God, you walk in power. You do not need to fear those who carry darkness. You do not need to cower before those who hate truth. For greater is God who is with you than the schemes that rise against you. You have the authority to rebuke what is not of God. You have the right to walk away. You have the wisdom to discern. But only if you stay connected to God daily. You cannot walk in clarity if you are disconnected from the one who gives sight. Do not let popularity confuse you. Do not let charisma deceive you. Evil people often rise quickly, but their fall is inevitable. God may allow them to shine for a season, but their roots are rotting. And when the storm comes, they will collapse under the weight of their own deception. But those who walk with God will stand firm. They will not be shaken, even when evil surrounds them. Because the foundation of the righteous is built on the unshakable truth of God. You don't need to expose evil with your mouth. Just walk in the light, and the light will do the exposing. God fights for the pure. He defends the upright. You don't need to prove anything. Just stay aligned with God, and everything not sent by Him will fall away. Evil has an expiration date, but righteousness has eternal reward. And let this truth sink deep into your soul. God does not remain silent forever. When evil rises, God responds. When darkness creeps in, the light of God does not retreat. It shines brighter. He watches in patience, but not in passivity. He sees the schemes of the wicked, the plots formed in secret, the words spoken behind closed doors, and in His perfect timing, He brings every hidden thing into the open. You may have wondered why God allows certain people to thrive in their wickedness for a season, but do not confuse delay with approval. God allows space for repentance. But when that space is abused, his justice will not be withheld. Evil will never have the last word. God will. He will toastable justice. He will reap the gospel. He will call the earth. God will. There are people in this world whose entire mission is to sabotage what God has planted in others. They are not creators, they are destroyers. They do not build, they infiltrate. They do not uplift, they entangle. Their words sound sweet, but their hearts are full of poison. They disguise envy as advice. They offer support that is laced with sabotage. And you must be vigilant, because the more God blesses you, the more you must guard your garden. Not everyone clapping for you is clapping from a pure heart. Some celebrate your victories only to stay close enough to sabotage your next step. That is why you must ask God to purify not only your path, but your people. When God begins to elevate you, He also begins to separate you, because the higher you go, the clearer your vision must become. You cannot afford to carry snakes into the next season of your life. You cannot climb while entangled with weights sent to pull you back. And hear this, some evil people will not leave voluntarily. They will cling to you like vines on a tree, pretending to support while slowly choking your spiritual strength. So stand, but God is your gardener. He will prune, He will cut, He will tear away every false vine, not to hurt you, but to prepare you. Your growth requires removal, your peace requires boundaries, and your destiny requires obedience. Don't cry over what God removes when you prayed for protection. Some of you are weeping over friendships and relationships that God Himself dissolved. And He is saying, you asked for peace. I had to remove the ones who were stealing it. You asked for clarity. I had to silence the voices of deception. You asked to walk in my will. I had to remove those sent to distract you from it. Evil people will often leave with drama, confusion, and blame. Let them go. Do not chase what God has cut off. Your healing begins at the door you finally stop reopening. And understand this, evil people often carry the spirit of accusation. They project their darkness onto others. They accuse the innocent. They twist facts to favor their narrative. They pretend to be victims while orchestrating chaos behind the scenes. If you've ever been falsely accused, slandered, or misunderstood by someone you once trusted, know that God saw it. He saw the lies. He saw the manipulation, and He is not blind to your tears. Your vindication may not come through a public apology. It may not come through confession, but it will come through divine reversal. When God vindicates, He doesn't just clear your name, He elevates your life. He blesses you in the sight of those who tried to curse you. He prepares a table before you, not in privacy, but in the presence of your enemies. You do not need revenge. You do not need to fight with flesh and blood. Your battle is not against faces, it is against spirits. And your victory is in staying aligned with God. Evil wants you to retaliate. It wants you to curse back, to gossip in return, to slander, to plot. But when you stay silent and surrender it to God, He fights battles you didn't even know were forming. He shuts mouths you never even heard. He dismantles plans that never reach your ears. This is the power of walking in righteousness. Your silence speaks louder than their schemes. Let me also tell you something powerful. You become what you tolerate. If you entertain evil, it begins to shape your perspective. If you excuse evil, it begins to affect your choices. If you protect evil, it begins to corrupt your heart. There is no neutral ground when it comes to righteousness. You're either pushing back against the darkness or you're allowing it to inch closer. And evil doesn't enter your life all at once. It creeps, it tests, it knocks softly. But when you open the door, even a little, it enters boldly. That's why you must be ruthless in your discernment. gentle with people, but fierce in your boundaries, merciful in spirit, but unshakable in truth. God is calling His people to rise above superficial kindness. Not all kindness is godliness. Sometimes the most godly thing you can do is walk away, to say no, to separate, to protect your spirit from contamination. You don't need to explain yourself to everyone. You just need to be obedient to God. When He speaks, move. When He warns, listen. When He removes, release. Your peace is not worth compromising for the sake of pleasing people who are walking in darkness. And to the one who is weary, God sees your heart. He knows the toll it has taken to deal with hidden enemies, smiling manipulators, and trusted voices that turned out to be weapons. But don't grow bitter, grow wiser. Don't shut down, rise up. This pain is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of your sharpening. God is forging you through this fire. You are becoming more discerning, more focused, more purified. Evil thought it could destroy you, but instead it made you more aware of who truly stands with God and who only pretends. This season is not for soft sight. It is for clear vision. You cannot afford to blur lines anymore. You cannot pretend not to see what God has shown you. You must protect your spirit like your life depends on it, because it does. Every compromise weakens your shield. Every ignored red flag drains your discernment. But every time you choose obedience, your spirit grows sharper. Your heart becomes more aligned with the truth. The fear of God must return to your walk, not a fear of punishment, but a reverent awe, a sacred commitment to remain in His will no matter the cost. Because in the end, when you stand before God, you will not be held accountable for what they did. You will be held accountable for what you allowed. Let that settle in your soul. You were never created to blend in with the world. You were created to stand apart, to shine in dark places, to walk with integrity, even when surrounded by evil. And that is not easy, but it is your calling. Do not envy the evil. Their path may seem wide, but it ends in ruin. Their laughter may be loud, but their souls are empty. Their houses may be full, but their spirits are hollow. What they build without God will collapse. What they gain through wickedness will wither. But you, if you walk with God, you will not be shaken. The winds may blow, the storms may rage, but your roots will go deep, your foundation will hold, and God Himself will sustain you. He will surround you with the right people. He will shield you from the unseen traps. He will guide you away from every counterfeit connection and into relationships that strengthen your soul. You will no longer be deceived by appearance. You will see with spiritual eyes. You will no longer be impressed by charisma. You will seek character. You will no longer fall for empty words. You will discern the spirit behind the voice. This is what it means to walk in the presence of God, not just to feel Him, but to see through Him, to look at a smiling face and sense the spirit behind it, to hear a flattering word and detect the motive underneath, to be unshaken, unbothered, unmovable, because you know who you are. And when evil tries to return, dressed in a new disguise, it will not find you vulnerable. It will not find you blind. It will find you guarded by truth, covered by wisdom, anchored in God. This is your shield. This is your weapon. This is your strength to walk in step with the Most High, to live in His shadow, and to stand in His light. Let every evil plan fall. Let every dark spirit flee. Let every voice of confusion be silenced. And let your life be a testimony, not of how much you avoided, but how much God preserved you from what you didn't even see coming. God is with you, and when He is with you, no evil can stand against you. Not in your mind, not in your heart, not in your house, and not in your future. And now hear this deep within your spirit. There is no greater tragedy than becoming comfortable with evil. There is no greater danger than normalizing what God has condemned. Evil does not always crash into your life. It often seeps in through compromise. It comes through the little things we excuse, the behaviors we tolerate, the company we refuse to confront. And over time, it hardens the heart. It desensitizes the soul. It makes darkness look like wisdom and truth sound like offense. But when you walk closely with God, He will disturb every comfort that was built on a lie. He will interrupt every relationship that was wrapped in deception, because God will not allow the ones He loves to settle in places where His presence cannot remain. God is not just concerned about what you do, He is concerned about what you allow. Evil people often don't need your participation, they just need your silence. And the moment you begin to remain quiet in the face of wickedness, you begin to give it space. But the one who walks in the fear of God cannot afford to be silent when righteousness is being mocked, when holiness is being distorted, when truth is being buried beneath culture and convenience. You must rise not with hate, not with arrogance, but with spiritual fire, with the boldness to say, this is not of God. This does not belong in my home, in my heart, or in my spirit. Some people are not evil in appearance, they are evil in influence. Their words sound gentle, but they lead you away from prayer. Their presence feels familiar, but it drowns out the voice of God. They feed your flesh, but starve your purpose. They pull you into conversations that dim your spirit, into decisions that slowly corrode your peace. And if you don't examine the fruit, you will be seduced by the shade of the tree. But remember, God never calls you to comfort that compromises your calling. He calls you to peace that comes from purity. He doesn't just want your praise, He wants your protection. He wants you to protect the anointing He placed on your life. Let me tell you something. When your discernment increases, your circle will decrease. When your eyes begin to open, your tolerance for nonsense begins to shrink. You will start to feel irritated by conversations that used to entertain you. You'll feel out of place in rooms you once fit in. You feel the tug to separate, to retreat, to realign. And that is not isolation. That is God's invitation. He is calling you to consecration, because there are levels of peace, levels of wisdom, levels of spiritual power that cannot be accessed while you're surrounded by those who carry spiritual toxins. You cannot drink from the cup of God and still feast at the table of evil. You must choose. God does not bless who you pretend to be. He blesses who you are when no one is watching. And if you truly want His presence to overflow in your life, you must begin to unclutter your heart. Examine your loyalties, inspect your attachments, ask yourself, does this person feed my spirit or weaken it? Does this voice align with the will of God or lead me into confusion? These are not questions of judgment. They are questions of spiritual survival. Because in a world where evil hides behind influence, discernment is your shield. And oh, how desperately the world needs people who walk in divine clarity, not those who echo what they hear, but those who stand on what God has revealed. Not those who blend into trends, but those who are anchored in truth. The evil people of this world are bold in their deception, confident in their chaos, and it's time for the people of God to be even bolder in righteousness. Not in pride, not in shouting, but in unshakable conviction. A quiet soul aligned with God has more power than a loud crowd chasing vanity. You may not have a platform, you may not have a title, but if you have the presence of God, you carry more authority than those who rule with corruption. Your prayers shake atmospheres. Your obedience builds unseen walls of protection. Your discernment keeps your home safe from infiltration. Do not underestimate the power of walking upright before God. It is not the loudest that are heard in the heavens. It is the purest, the clean heart, the surrendered will, the soul that says, God, even if it costs me everything, I will not entertain evil. I will not welcome it. I will not protect it. I will stand with you, even if I must stand alone. Some of you are in seasons of exposure right now. God is revealing hearts. He is lifting veils. You are seeing people for who they truly are, not to hurt you, but to heal you. He is showing you conversations that were never meant to reach your ears, attitudes that were hidden behind smiles, intentions that were buried beneath gestures. And it hurts. But this pain is a gift. It is the hand of God separating you from silent sabotage. It is His mercy wrapped in revelation. Because He does not want you to be blindsided in the future. He wants you to be anchored now. And when God exposes evil, do not argue with it. Do not negotiate with it. Do not try to make it comfortable. Rebuke it, reject it, remove it. Because what you fail to confront today will confront you tomorrow with greater strength. What you allow in your atmosphere will begin to shape your identity. And once your identity is compromised, your calling begins to slip through your fingers. But not you, not now. God has sent this word to you as a warning, as a wake-up call, as a declaration. You are not made to blend with darkness. You are made to shine with purity. You were not made to tolerate wickedness. You were made to walk in truth. You were not made to remain bound. You were made to be set apart. So guard your gates, guard your ears, guard your eyes, guard your spirits, because evil does not just want your agreement, it wants your attention. It wants to occupy the space that was reserved for God. But you must decide who gets access to your soul, who gets to speak into your mind, who gets to walk with you in this divine journey. Not everyone deserves that closeness. Not everyone has the purity to stand in your purpose. Let God be your filter. Let Him show you. Let Him cut where you couldn't. Let Him remove what you were too afraid to confront. And when He does, rejoice, not because you lost something, but because you were delivered from something. Evil may look like gain for a moment, but it is loss wrapped in illusion. And when God takes it away, He's not depriving you, He's preserving you. You don't know the storms He protected you from. You don't know the destruction He blocked. But one day, you will look back and say, God, thank you for showing me. Thank you for removing what I didn't have the strength to release. Thank you for opening my eyes. Let this be your prayer tonight. God, remove from me every connection that is not from you. Strip away every alliance that weakens my spirit. Expose every smile that hides a dagger. And build in me the courage to walk away from what you never ordained. This is not a message of fear. It is a call to spiritual maturity, to stop living by feelings and start walking by discernment, to stop chasing comfort and start pursuing holiness, to stop being impressed by the outer and start being aligned with the inner. For God is not concerned with how people appear. He sees their intentions, and if you ask Him, He will show you too. And now let your heart receive this final truth. The power to overcome evil is not found in physical strength, loud voices, or worldly strategies. It is found in unwavering submission to God. It is found in the silent strength of a soul that kneels when no one is watching, that listens for God's whisper in the midst of noise, that chooses righteousness when wickedness is more convenient. Evil cannot stand in the presence of a heart that is fully surrendered. It may try, it may surround, it may even shout, but the soul, anchored in God, remains unshaken, untouched, and undefeated. You are not weak because you walk away from corruption. You are strong because you choose to walk with God when others compromise for applause. You are not naive because you protect your purity. You are wise because you understand that what God has placed in you is too valuable to be contaminated by false connections and deceptive influences. You are not alone when you let go of those who carry darkness in disguise. God stands with you, He surrounds you, and when you choose Him over everything else, He fills every void, heals every wound, and lifts you higher than anything evil tried to take away. Do not be surprised when evil people rise around you. It is written that trials will come, but let their rising be your reminder to remain in God's shadow. Evil may succeed for a moment, but its success is built on sand. God is building you on rock. And when the storms come, and they will come, what is built in truth will stand, but what was crafted in wickedness will collapse under its own weight. And hear me with every fiber of your being. There is no evil so deep, no deception so cunning, no person so dangerous that God cannot protect you from it. You do not walk blindly, you walk under divine watch. You walk with spiritual sight that sees beyond the surface. God gives wisdom not to puff you up, but to protect your path. He gives you discernment not to judge others harshly, but to guard what He's planted in your life. What He has entrusted to you is holy. Treat it as such. Your time is holy. Your peace is holy. Your mind, your energy, your calling, these are sacred gifts from God. And they are not to be offered to those walking in rebellion against Him. Do not be afraid to change your circle. Do not fear loneliness for a season. God often isolates before He elevates. He separates before He establishes. And what feels like loss is often divine subtraction, removing what was secretly subtracting from your peace, your strength, and your purpose. When God removes, He always replaces with better. What you release in obedience, He replaces with abundance. But trust Him. Trust His timing. Trust His yes. Trust His no. And most of all, trust His silence. Because even when God is quiet, He is still working. Some of you have spent too long trying to figure out why people changed, why relationships turned, why hearts went cold. But hear this now. It was never about you. It was about the unseen battle over your soul. Evil never attacks the empty. It attacks the anointed. It surrounds the chosen. And if you have been in the fire, if you have felt the sting of betrayal, if you have been pierced by silent warfare, take heart. You are not being destroyed, you are being refined. You are not being abandoned, you are being protected. God has seen every tear, every sleepless night, every cry for clarity, and He has not forgotten you. Lift your head, straighten your back, strengthen your spirit. God is not finished with you. What was meant to break you will build you. What was sent to delay you will develop you. What was designed to confuse you will now clarify you. And when you rise, you will not rise with bitterness, but with boldness. You will not rise with pain, but with purpose. You will not rise with hate, but with heavenly vision, because God has used the darkness to make your light shine brighter. He has used the enemy to teach you how to war. He has used the loss to teach you how to guard what matters. Let this be the moment you stop questioning what God removed and start praising Him for what He's about to release. Let this be the moment you stop entertaining what drains your spirit and start protecting what feeds your soul. Let this be the moment you no longer fear evil people, because you are walking hand in hand with the one who has dominion over all creation. And as you go forward, take this final word and seal it in your spirit. Where God is present, evil cannot prevail. Not in your mind, not in your home, not in your future. No matter how loud the enemy roars, God's voice is louder. No matter how cunning the plan of the wicked, God's wisdom is greater. No matter how thick the darkness, one word from God can scatter it. So stand, not in your own strength, but in the shelter of the Almighty. Stand in truth, stand in purity, stand in peace, and know that every evil weapon formed against you will fail, not because of who you are, but because of who God is. You are covered, you are called, you are chosen, and no evil can change that. Let your life now be a living testimony of what it means to walk with God, boldly, faithfully, and without compromise. For when you walk with God, you walk in light. And where there is light, no darkness can dwell.